What's up, Pod Pals? It's your buddy Adam, and you are checking out Podcasting Business School. This is the show where I teach podcasters how to love their show like a hobby, but build it like a business. And one of the topics that I get the most frequently asked questions about is YouTube. Adam, I've got this audio platform, but I know YouTube is important. I know being in that world of Google is really, really important. So how do I level up there? And I was introduced to our guest today by one of my favorite pod pals, Allison Melody. And I was really impressed with what this guy is doing in the YouTube space. So I'm bringing Chris Zissis in for the deep dive on all things YouTube. So Chris, welcome to the show, man.
Thanks, man. I appreciate being here and, looking forward to our chat. And yeah, Allison's, pumped me up. So I'm excited to see what you can throw at me.
Well, you're legit YouTube person when you have the background with the boxes with the lights in them, because my kids are obsessed with YouTube. So if you guys aren't seeing the video, you're missing out. Somebody is an official YouTuber when they have the little
Gotta have that
squares,
background, bro.
the lights,
The background's so important.
the little pillows, or whatever.
You gotta have the plants in the corner.
I feel naked in my background because we're actually showing our house. Normally I have all my show displays and tiles up here, and my wife made me take all of them down. So it's kind of like sad background for me today, but we'll make up for it with extra energy. So Chris, I'm super interested in how you got into the YouTube space. Can you tell us the story of how you became obsessed with this platform?
Yeah, absolutely, man. So for those that don't know, me personally, at the moment, what my core focus is creating content that doesn't require having to be in front of a camera. So when I first started on YouTube, I was trying to do fitness videos. I was trying to do content where I was standing in front of a camera. I was telling people how to lose weight, how to look sexy, how to be shredded. I was trying to do that all myself. And as fun as that was, it was very challenging. It was hard. It was time consuming and it was very hard to scale. One, because obviously time it takes to actually create it, but then also two, and just the ability to understand the platform, you have to put so much energy and effort into it, and the results are very minimal for 3, 6, maybe even 12 months, and that hinders a lot of people's growth and their ability to even get the results that they're trying to get. So I tried that out for, again, 6, 12 months, just like everybody else. And I was just hitting my head against the wall. And I thought there has to be an easier way to get similar results, but something I can scale. And that just sort of led me down a rabbit hole where I found a lot of channels where they were doing things like, to give you an example, best travel locations in the world, or best hotels, or most expensive hotels, or just as an example. And when I saw these videos, they never had anybody in front of a camera. It was just talking. It was good quality video, and it was either promoting a brand, product, service, whatever it was. And I was like, wow, what are these guys doing? And obviously, fast forward a few years later, I worked out what they're doing, and now I'm implementing all of the same strategies for myself.
Okay, so we're gonna unpack all of that. So don't worry, listeners. We're gonna get all the good stuff from Chris here. What can you maybe just start that conversation by explaining how money is made on YouTube? Because a lot of people are like, oh, obviously you could sell things like we do on a podcast, but actually for the listenership and there are ads that are popping up and there's money made with that. And you hear about, oh, I need so many subscribers and I need so many minutes of being listened to actually start being paid by YouTube. So can you explain how that works a little bit?
Yeah, so a lot of the misconceptions with YouTube is that one, you need a lot of subscribers to make money. It doesn't really matter. It's just a vanity metric that a lot of people track because they get a nice little plaque or they can show their friends and, essentially, look at me, I've got subscribers. Now, for a lot of channels that can relate, but for majority of the time, it doesn't matter. If you make good quality content, YouTube's going to push it. So ultimately, having good watch time, as you just sort of mentioned, and I'm sure we'll talk about this a bit later on, but in terms of the monetary value, the easiest and best ways to make money really quickly with YouTube is obviously things like your brand deals, sponsorships. You can do affiliate programs. A big one that I focus on initially with channels is obviously the ad revenue that channels produce, because with that comes no other effort or no other energy required other than just make good quality videos. Now, when the good quality videos are made, you'll get paid per 1,000 views depending on your niche or category that you talk. So for example, a business podcast or something business related, crypto, make money, etc., they'll get paid more per 1,000 views because the advertiser is paying more to get the person that's watching your videos to buy their product. So therefore they'll get paid, $15, $20, $30 per 1,000 views versus, let's say you were talking about, I don't know, Ellen DeGeneres, or you're talking about a movie or a TV show. typically what you'll find is in those videos, you'll get paid only $3 to sort of $10 per thousand views. So there's a massive discrepancy between how much you how much you can get paid on advertising, but then your brand deals, sponsors, affiliates, they make up for a lot of the missed opportunity as well. So they're the sort of the main ways to make money.
Yeah, and the whole cost per mil compensation thing, like podcasters get that, except we don't get paid as much. Well, I guess in the business space, we're getting 18 to 25. I know some podcasters at $50 CPM. And
Yeah.
that's great. But our friend Allie teaches us how to make more than that, just so everybody knows out there. Just saying, shameless plug for Allie Melody. So the monetization aspect, that kind of gets people's ears perked up. They're like, all right. So the next logical question for me is like, what's some low hanging fruit as far as just like ways to stand out on YouTube, or just basics of getting exposure above the normal? Like, all right, my mom subscribed and watched a video and my friend watched it, but how do we get like, maybe somebody wants to have 100 views per video? Like what are some just getting started steps to make sure we cover these bases, to make sure that we're getting pushed by YouTube?
Yeah, so the main things that a lot of people overlook because they're too focused on the end goal. Now, having the vision, having the plan, having the goal of where you want to get to is obviously fantastic. But the problem and the misconception with a lot of people is they focus on that so much that they forget, or they just ignore the process and the art of one, enjoying it. So, I don't want to go Gary Vee and all the shit that he says, but like enjoying the process has to be number one, because if you don't, when it gets hard, you're going to give up, you're going to fold in, you're not going to continue. Now, in terms of the actual tips or tricks or hacks, whatever you want to call it, to get more views, really the main things you need to focus on is the watch time. So how long do people watch of that video? Now, including things like cuts, lighting, the visuals, making sure something's moving every couple of seconds, different camera angles. Now, again, this doesn't have to be $1 million budget to create a video. You can just set phones up on different tripods. You can even have screen overlays, really anything just to keep attention for longer periods of the time in that video will show to YouTube that you're getting, okay, on a 10-minute video, people are watching 50%. So they watch 5 minutes. Now that's going to outperform a video that only gets, say, 2 minutes of watch time, because that's only 20%. So now YouTube is breaking down all these analytics and saying, okay, if you're getting 50, 60, 70% of videos, people are obviously liking it. But what do they do after they watch your video? Are they watching more of your videos? Are they going to another website? So are they leaving YouTube? So they start taking into consideration all of these metrics. Now, I guess just to simplify, the easiest and most important things to really focus on when you're first starting, or at least trying to get to that next milestone, is make sure that watch time is 40 to 50% or above. That's a great place to start. And then the next thing is making sure that your thumbnails are killer. Like, you need to have amazing thumbnails, because if nobody clicks on your video, you'll never get that watch time. But if you don't get that watch time, well, then YouTube doesn't show up for more people to click on. So they're like a hand and a glove, right? They just sort of fit together. And making sure that you have thumbnails that just stand out. You don't want a lot of text. You don't want to fill it, full of fluff and things that are boring. And I always say this for clients and people that ask similar questions, is just look at someone like Mr. Beast. There's very little text in his thumbnails. It's all emotion. It's all bright colors. Now, I'm not saying for entrepreneurs and business owners out there to replicate what he does with his videos, but what I am saying is just take inspiration and model what he's doing. He's not sitting there with a whiteboard and a sad looking face and, poor lighting. Like, he's excited. He's got energy. He's fun. And these are things that, a lot of people overlook. And those are the two main things. So really good thumbnails, which you want to have about 10 or 15% click-through rate or higher. That's a good metric to start with. And then watch time, like I said, 50% watch time and above.
So I'm a YouTube rookie, and self-admittedly, I get very little YouTube play. Like, I'm streaming live onto YouTube. Every single podcast that I do, I stream live into it. But my thumbnails, I do notice, like, if I post a great big picture of my big expressive face making a big weird expression, and then have just a little bit of like, what is this, or who am I talking to, just like 3 words or something, it does do way better. And my son is in 5th grade and he's obsessed with Mr. Beast. So I do look, like, I watch the videos with him and they are entertaining, but I do look like, what does the thumbnail look like? What are his notes underneath the show, the description? So yeah, that he's a great one to, what is he, like top 5 on YouTube right now?
Yeah, he's definitely up there. I wouldn't be surprised if he's like top 2 or top 3. I mean, it's just incredible to see what he's doing. So obviously plug to him and go check out his content if you haven't. But, again, just to sort of touch on that really quickly, is that a lot of the simple things people will overlook. So they will overlook the quality of the thumbnail because they're just focusing on what's the description I need, what's the tag I need, what's the special title I need, or what's the special thing that I'm not doing that I can, maybe I can backlink or I can get content from somewhere else and maybe I can get a boost from something. It's none of that matters if you're not creating good content. And I can't stress that point enough. You need to have a good thumbnail, get people to go, whoa. Like as humans, we love mystery. We love things we don't know. We want to know more about it. So try to have mystery in your title, mystery in your thumbnail, and just a good quality video. It's really, really that simple.
I think the YouTube channel that I'm most obsessed with is called BitBoy Crypto. I'm a big crypto enthusiast, and he always has these titles that they get me every single time, Chris. It's like Bitcoin dead. I'm like, no, gotta go
Exactly.
and find out what it is. And it's not about that at all. It'll be like a joke or like, I'm quitting crypto forever. No, don't
Now
do it,
there's
man.
now that there's obviously a fine line as well of clickbait too, right? Because that's very clickbait heavy. Now, YouTube, from my experience, they're pretty lenient depending on the content. As long as there's not a lot of swearing, there's not a lot of, whatever it is that goes against YouTube's policy. But with clickbait, there's a very fine line of saying one thing in your thumbnail and your title and doing the complete opposite, like a bait and switch in your video and not actually delivering on that. So BitBoy Crypto is great. I've watched some of his videos as well, and they are entertaining. But again, there's that he's walking that fine line of saying one thing and doing a complete different one. So there's just again for those watching that want to implement like a Hail Mary. Sometimes I'll say to clients, if you just need this one, like just a Hail Mary, I just need to do it. I need to throw a Hail Mary in there. Then do one of those big clickbait things just to see if it works. But just be careful not to do them all the time because that can lead to more problems than it can to success.
Yeah, I know BitBoy's been pulled. It's been pulled down twice
Well, there
during a
you go.
live
Yeah.
stream where they just pull him off, and and he obviously freaks out about it. But yeah, you got to be careful with that. Now, you talked about quality of content. Content is king. Quality of content is king. Let's say somebody's like, my goal is to record really good quality, uh, high engagement, high watch rate, 10-minute videos. How long do you think it will take them to produce a 10-minute video? Or what would be an expectation for people like just to know going in if they're really serious enough to put that kind of effort in?
In terms of the production of that
Yeah,
10-minute
yeah.
video?
Like if they're going to put together a 10-minute video, how long would you expect that to actually take in
So
production?
So it's obviously it's hard depending on the person because they could be great in front of a camera. If you're someone that's just starting in front of a camera, it's going to be the worst thing you've ever done. You're going to get sweaty. You're gonna get sweaty palms. You're going to absolutely hate it, and that's natural. That's normal. That's what's going to happen. So being in a cool office or having an aircon on or something is definitely going to help because as soon as you sit in front of the bright lights, all of a sudden all your pores start dripping, and it's a mess. So typically, if it's your first time, it's going to take a while, a couple of hours easily. Now that's just for the recording stage because you're going to trip up. You're going to miss a lot of words, you're going to forget the whole thing you were talking about. So it can be a really daunting task. And a lot of people, they're not going to keep pushing through that pain because it's so painful to think. It's so traumatizing to think every time you get in front of this camera, you're just absolutely dripping of sweat or you're freaking out or some people have an anxiety attack. So, a lot of the times it's just sitting down, making sure you understand what you're doing, and then just following a process of little bite-sized pieces, whether you're reading a script or you're just remembering something from that script and you're just sort of going off the riff, as long as you know what you're talking about, it's easier. But typically a couple of hours because you'll have a lot of cuts, you'll have a lot of mistakes. Now in post, when you're editing the video, so video editing, you'll find that doesn't take too long, maybe half hour to an hour, depending on what kind of content you're wanting to produce. So playing with your lightings, adding in the animations or screen overlaps or other visuals that come into play as well. So typically, all in all, for your first time, a couple of hours minimum. Some people I see take 3 to 6 hours. Some people take a whole weekend. Some people, they're so focused on the perfectionism of it that they forget about the art of it. And that's a big thing that a lot of people overlook is it's still an art form, and being yourself and expressing yourself in a way that you want to express is so much more important than being on the other side of the camera and looking at this perfect setup and this perfect visual, because we're human, right? We make mistakes, and a lot of people will really value that. I don't know if you've watched someone like Alex Hormozy before on YouTube. He's popping at the moment, and he's just a normal dude sitting in front of a camera. It's not super high quality, it's a little bit blurry sometimes, and he makes mistakes. Says a lot of ums and ahs, and he's not the perfect candidate for what a YouTube video should be. Yet he is blowing up to the point where the audience that is watching him and that is compelled to enjoy his content and his story, and now what he calls the Mosey Nation, where these people are now just diehard fans of him. And that's where, again, you need to work out: are you wanting diehard fans that'll buy whatever it is that you're selling, or do you want to just look good in front of a camera and just have that poster look, but you're not actually being authentic and real? So again, it's a tricky question to answer, but typically,
Yeah.
3 to 6 hours, or if you're like Alex and you just want to get the content out because you want to focus on the quality, well, then you're going to do something like turn the camera on, record, and then just let it run.
Yeah. Well, I just want to paint an accurate picture for people that are like, I want to be a YouTuber. Funny story. My daughter graduated from, she is a first grader. She graduated from kindergarten last year, and they do this whole kindergarten graduation thing. And they talk about like what they want to be when they grow up. I would say 25% of the kids said they want to be YouTubers. And so like, this is a thing that's happening. They're going through life going, this is something that I want to do. I see the benefits. I want to do it. But I feel like it is really important to paint that accurate picture of this takes time and this takes effort. You've got to, it's kind of like what I promote with this show. You got to love it like a hobby, but you got to build it like a business. You got to have your business hat on and be willing to put in some business hours. So I feel like that's really important. What are some other like common misconceptions that you see people that like, they think they're going to go blow up on YouTube and they just tank?
Well, I mean, yeah, first thing is what you just sort of said. It's hard. Like, don't get me wrong, it is hard. I tried, as I said, in front of a camera myself, and fell on my face many, many times. But as a baby, when we're trying to learn to walk, we fall over every day, multiple times, as you would know. You've got kids, so you see them landing on their face all day, every day, and they just keep getting up trying to walk again. That's the same thing we need to take with the process of YouTube, and really anything in life that we really want, is that you're going to fall on your face, you're going to fall over. Just keep getting up and keep trying. And that's the biggest thing with YouTube. I guess people that are trying to be YouTubers, or YouTube influencers, if you want to call them that when they first started, they were just a regular dude or a regular chick trying to figure out how to do it, just like you watching this or listening to this now is the same process. There's no differences. So that's the first thing. Obviously, don't give up, just the typical, cliche quote. But on top of that, not worrying about, like, I've got videos that have had 10 million views and they had no tags. So, having videos with like the perfect description or the perfect tags, it's not relevant if the video is a good quality video. And I just sort of want you all just to sort of think about this. You know, when you think of YouTube as an algorithm, think of it as a robot. It doesn't have emotion. It looks at ones and zeros and it analyzes the video in every aspect, from visuals to audios to tonality, everything that's involved. Now, if you can say wholeheartedly that by you creating an optimized description and tags is going to trick one of the greatest and smartest AIs in the world to get you more views, and you don't have the video quality that people actually want to watch, I feel like that's just, you're just being ignorant at that point, because you can't trick this algorithm. This algorithm is the best in the world for a reason. And thinking of that for like front of mind and for what's going to come next is, okay, if I make the algorithm happy, which is essentially great quality content that people actually want to watch, they'll do all the heavy lifting for me, and they will then put it into the algorithm. They'll push it as long as I focus on the good quality stuff. So again, I've had 10 million plus videos views on videos that have one line in the description, which is just the title, and no tags. I've only focused on the quality of video, the watch time in the thumbnail, and the video exploded. On the other hand, I've had videos where I've optimized the description, the titles, the tags. I've spent hours on thumbnails. I tried to make it a good quality video, and I did everything that the guru said to do, and the video didn't do anything. It got 1,000 views, 2,000 views. Now, for some of you, that might be a lot, but in the grand scheme of it, for what I'm trying to achieve, that's not a lot. So it's just really focusing on, again, I can't emphasize this enough, enjoy making the art that you're willing to go into and fight for. You go into war for what you're trying to believe in, and what you believe in has to be something that you're happy with. But also, too, don't be so perfectionism that you're sitting there going, oh, I said, or I didn't create the best quality video I could have because the lighting was off to a degree or an angle. It's the production quality. I feel like a lot of the times, we pull our phones out and we do like a screen recording or like a selfie thing. And I feel like that gets more response a lot of the times than sitting there with a full production quality studio with high res cameras and all these, bells and whistles, because it doesn't feel real. It doesn't feel authentic. So again, making it feel authentic and real is another massive point. So there's a few points in there. You'll have to dissect them, but there's a lot of things to really think about in terms of just the quality. Again, I'm going to keep saying it over and over again. Quality video is always number one.
It's interesting. It reminds me of my Instagram Reels journey where I'll spend an hour putting together something with all these like cool, like I'm having explosions
Yeah,
coming out of my
the
ears and all
animations.
these
Yeah,
things. And then it'll be like 100 people will see it. And then I've, my most viewed reel ever is my daughter sneaking up on my son and dumping a bucket of water on his head. And it did like a million times the views that I get on anything else. I'm like, this is dumb. So
exactly.
that's how the world works.
People are
Uh,
easily entertained, man, and if we can just crack that code, it's not a hard game once you figure it out. That's why Mr. Beast has, the fastest growing channel or the biggest growing channel, whatever it is, and he makes so much money from it because he's cracked the code. It's quite simple when you break it down. It's just a blueprint that you need to follow.
yeah. All right. Speaking of the blueprint, do you think there's anything different as far as the way that podcasters approach YouTube versus everybody else? So, like with my show, with this show, this is the tip of the spear to get into my world, but I would love to pick up more people that are YouTube consumers and maybe, approach. So, like every one of my interviews like this is going up on YouTube, but do you see anything that podcasters need to do differently or that could help just pick up a few extra subscribers on YouTube or expand their reach just a little bit? Where obviously, like the interview we're doing today will end up about 40 or 45 minutes. That's all going up. The thumbnail thing, any other magic for podcasters out there that you think could help a little bit?
So I guess you're asking for a magic bullet, like what's going to get more attention and make more money ultimately. So there's obviously a lot of different things that you can focus on. One of the things that YouTube's obviously pushing a lot now is shorts. So YouTube Shorts, that's something where you can take a video and take the moments that are the most impactful, cut them up, trim them up, and put them into a short form, digestible piece. Right now, that could go on YouTube. You only need to do one cut, one vertical visual of whatever it is that's happening. Obviously you can play around with it in post-production, but essentially make that visual 60 seconds or less, post it on your Instagram, post it on the YouTube for shorts, and then post it on TikTok and start pushing all of this shorter form content. Because what's going to happen is if you listen to someone like Joe Rogan, for example, and he's a great example of this, is that his podcast, when he cuts those pieces up, they may get 1 million, 10 million, 5 million views, whatever it might be. Now, obviously, that's not what everyone's going to get. But if you got just a fraction of that and that audience was like, hey, that sounds like a cool conversation. Where do I listen to the rest of it? How do I get the rest of it?
Yeah.
Because it's harder to get someone to consume 40 or 50 minutes worth of content than what it is to consume 30 seconds or 45 seconds. And again, humans love mystery. And if we're in a position where there's a sound bite where they go, oh shit, that was cool, they're going to go and listen to the rest of that podcast, or at least a majority of that podcast, be introduced to your world and say, hey, who's this Adam dude? And then you start listening to all this podcast. Oh, hey, he did one with this, or hey, what about this? Or hey, that's a cool topic. So again, just really trying to be omnipresent and really branching out into these other forms of content creation is one great way. And really just networking. And obviously, as you have guests on your show, finding the people that have a bit of a following or at least have a bit of an audience. And then that audience, when they find out that the person that they're following or looking up to is on the show, they're going to want to come and watch as well. So you get someone like, Grant Cardone or someone like Alex Hormozi or whoever these business guys are, or whoever the relevant person in your space is, you can then siphon views from that audience, all because that figure is there as well. So that's a great way a lot of people blow up, and how Joe Rogan gets so much attention on his videos, because you've got people like, Kanye West, or every time Kanye does something in the media, all of a sudden Joe Rogan's video is trending again. Or you've got someone like Elon Musk, he's always doing something, so his videos are trending
Yep.
again. So
Yep.
finding the right people and playing into their strengths and their audience is another great way to get extra attention too.
Well, I especially love that shorts idea because I'm already creating content for my Instagram Reels, Instagram Stories, TikTok, and that's all that vertical form, vertical format. And we just pop that into the YouTube Shorts. That seems like it could be a winner. Do you see any issues with just taking that exact same content, or does it need to be adjusted at all to fit the Shorts format?
So again, the biggest thing is focusing on the end viewer, right? So what is the goal of what you're trying to achieve, and then re-engineer how you're going to get there. So when you're trying to figure out, is the person that's going to be watching my content going to be someone that watches the full length video? Are they going to be the ideal person for this video? So, for example, let's just say you take this 40-minute video, however long it's going to be, and you can clip it up into the bite-sized pieces that are going to obviously do the best. Now, when you post this on TikTok or YouTube Shorts, you're going to find the audience is just going to be sitting there mindlessly scrolling. So they're not going to sit there with just a flat screen or with an empty screen like this with no movements, no quick things, no text, no nothing. They're going to just keep scrolling past it because there's nothing that catches their attention. So adding things like subtitles is a great idea. Having things where there's something on the screen moving. So every time I talk and then flick back to you when you talk, or even if it's not you talking, just flicking back and forward, having something that's consistently stimulating is going to be a massive factor on, again, the watch time just on a shorter period of these other platforms. And then at that point, you'll say, okay, the audience that's now watching, there's something visually triggering every couple of seconds. They'll keep watching, and then they'll go, oh, okay, I'll go check out the whole video now. So you need to play to the strengths and the psychology of the viewer on that platform. So YouTube, obviously 40 minutes, there's not going to be much changing and much visual changes unless you got like one of those video board things where you can change the camera
Right.
angles. But on TikTok, Snapchat, Reels, etc., you got to play to the viewers that are watching and their psychology of attention, which most time humans' attention now is tiny. It's a couple of seconds.
Yeah. Yes. Well, I am super curious about something that our friend Allison Melody mentioned to me. She's like, you got to have my friend Chris on. I know you're looking for YouTube experts, but he's doing this other thing that is pretty amazing. And the way she described it is Chris helps people create these, or he creates these cash cow, basically money machine YouTube channels that are set it and forget it. So I'm intrigued. Obviously, you figured this out. Let's talk about this a little bit. Tell me exactly what this is and how you're doing it. And if I want to start one, how the heck do I do that?
Sure, man. So the simple answer is, have you ever watched a documentary before, whether it's Nat Geo or maybe David Attenborough, where there's just visuals and then someone talking? You've
Yeah.
watched one of them before, I'm assuming.
Oh, yeah.
So the idea is exactly the same of that. Create a documentary style video where it's just someone talking with visuals matching whatever it is that the person's talking about, and then posting it and optimizing it for YouTube. So that's the simplest 30,000-foot answer. Now, obviously, there's a lot that goes into making sure it works and making sure that it generates revenue. But essentially, these are faceless channels, so no one has to be in front of a camera. But essentially, it's just a script, a voiceover, a video editor. They put it all together. They make it this nice little package that people would actually want to watch. And then you make money again from ad revenue, as we mentioned before, ad revenue, brand deals, sponsorships, affiliates. And the best part, I mean, for me and what I offer for my clients anyway, is that it's just all set and done, right? It's just done for you. There's nothing that a client needs to do. I've got some really high level clients that work with me and they don't have time to, do what I'm doing. They don't have time to learn it. They don't have time to, worry about it. So that's where my team and we focus on it. And just to give you some context, because it can be quite a large operation. I've got over 300 contractors and I've got over 10 full-time in-house employees as well.
Wow.
So it's a massive operation and we manage close to 100 channels at the moment. So, it's a really fun, and again, going back to the art of it, I love it. I love creating it. I love watching them. So why not just do it for other people and also to, create the content that people are going to want to watch. And that's what I'm focusing on at the moment.
So could you give us an example of one of the channels that's doing really well and what kind of revenue it's producing?
Yeah, so I mean, there's obviously so many different ones. I've got an NBA channel at the moment that started probably just under 2 years, so probably about a year and a half ago now, and that's been consistently making anywhere between 15 to 35 grand a month from just ad revenue as it is now. So in September, October, November, and December, because that's Q4 and that's when everyone is buying and advertisers are spending more money. We were making 30 grand a month every month from September, October, November, and December just because of that. So we're capitalizing on ad revenue. Now, on top of that, I can go out and I can go to a sports company or a sports supplement and say, hey, I'm getting 50 million views in the last few months. What is this worth to you as a company? And I can put your brand, product, or service in my videos. Either I can take an affiliate fee if people sign up from my link and they buy, as you've probably seen in videos before. they could pay $1 per purchase, or $5 per purchase, or a percentage depending on the the size of the product they're buying, or they could just pay a flat fee and say, yeah, you're getting, I don't know, 5 million, 10 million views a month. We'll pay you 5 grand, 10 grand, because that is, the audience that they want to attract. But also, too, it's relatively free advertising comparatively to, say, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, etc. This is just the audience is there, put their ad in the video, and then that's done. So, yeah, I mean, channels can earn a lot of money from 30, 40, 50 grand plus if done properly, obviously.
That's insane. So this is where I got tripped up because Ali was kind of diving into this. And when it really clicked to me, I go, so it's kind of like I'm investing in an asset that your company creates and I'm funding it, but I'm hands off. Would that be an accurate description?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's like buying a real estate house, or a house
Yeah.
in general, and then getting a property manager to come and manage it for you. So you're buying the house, and then you're paying someone to maintain that house, check up on the tenants, make sure that nothing bad's happening, make sure things get fixed, maintain it, make sure it's making money, and essentially keeping it running for however long you want. Now, when you get to the end of the cycle that you say, you know what, it's been 3, 4, 5 years now, I've made a decent chunk of change from this property. Now I'll just sell it to the next person because it's a booming market. So I'll get out and make the money while I can. The exact same thing goes for these YouTube channels, because they are a digital piece of real estate. Come in, you build the channel, you're in a position where the channel starts making money. 2, 3, 4 years time, you can flip these digital assets to someone that has the cash and the big bags on the side waiting to invest and deploy. And you can sell these channels for 500K plus if they're generating obviously enough revenue, because now it's just a digital asset with very low overhead. You don't have to worry about, customers or consumers, or anything like that to be complaining. And it's just creating videos that people want to watch around potential viral topics. So yeah, it's a great business model. And like you said, it's just set it and forget it. Don't do anything. And as long as you work obviously with the right team, that they'll help you out and get it growing.
Okay. So if I'm like, all right, Chris, let's do one of these. Do I have any input on the topic, or is that just all you guys doing research and going, here's the next channel that we need to do that's really a trending topic like crypto or whatever? So like what level of input do you accept? What's recommended? What's that relationship look like?
So obviously it's a bit tricky because you have entrepreneurs that are naturally creative, right? And they see a new shiny object and like, oh shit, I got to get to that. And they try to jump in on that new shiny object and they're like, oh, I want to learn it. I want to do it. I want to be involved in it. I want everything about it. But that can sometimes be more detrimental than it can otherwise, because what'll happen is and I've had this before with a lot of clients, is that they get so excited they just want to do all of it when they don't obviously understand what they're doing. So they're sort of standing on their own toes in a way. So the way that I sort of put it is, I'll take input, I'll take ideas. I'm happy to work with clients because I'm an entrepreneur, I'm creative, and everyone's creative. We have all different ideas. But ultimately, at the end of the day, the decision we made by me, if we move forward in that said niche or idea or topic, because again, with almost over 100 channels now that we're managing, and I've got full teams always researching all day, every day, finding new topics, finding new things. I've deployed a lot of resources to find the next big thing that I believe we should do, or that the client should do. So at that point, it's kind of like we go with the data, we look at what the numbers are saying over just a hunch and say, oh, I heard that, I don't know, there's a new dog breed coming out soon. We should create a video about it. Like, we have to look at the numbers first and then correlate that back to what we create. So there's input from clients at times, but ultimately I'll make the final decision of, if that goes forward or not.
This is super cool. It's so outside of the box, and I love to set it and forget it. Like, I feel like me being invested in Bitcoin and crypto, that helps a little bit because it's similar. Like when I buy Bitcoin or Ethereum or some ADA, I'm like, I'm investing in an asset that's produced by that group of people. They go out and do their thing. I don't tell them what they're doing. I just go, okay, I see the value in this increasing. And when the value does increase, I can take profits. Similar model here, right?
Absolutely. Exactly the same.
Okay. So
Just less volatile because the market's crashed or gone down at the moment. So that,
YouTube doesn't crash.
I
Um,
mean, look, it has its days, but compared to crypto, I'm not losing half a million in a
yeah.
day like I have in crypto. So I
Yeah.
try to focus on the safer assets for a little bit.
Yes. Okay. Well, let's talk about like the investment of this and like what is this like an upfront thing? Is this a monthly thing? How does that usually work?
So typically with a lot of clients that sign on, obviously I'm looking at what I can do to accommodate to their, situation. And the way that the packages work is all based on the amount of time it's typically going to take to get the views or get the subscribers or get the, money and revenue that we need. So, it's just a once-off package initially at the start. I can break that up for clients, and it's a large sum. A lot of people can't afford it, which is fine. I'm not trying to, say that it's an easy service, because it's not. Obviously, it's quite tricky. It's quite hard. But ultimately, at the end of the day, what we do is we take a breakdown of what the upfront sum would be. Sometimes that's 40K. Sometimes that's 50K plus. We'll break that up over a 12-month period. We'll then look at, okay, what is the channel going to be about? Obviously, the niche, the topics, etc. And then we break that up over, say, a 6 or 8 month period, so that there's not one lump sum that someone has to pay up front. And then ultimately what happens is we just work on the channel until you make your money back plus 20%. So essentially, once you've made your total ROI back plus a 20% profit, that's when we start looking at, okay, what's the profit split on the channel, so that my team and I can obviously incentivize to keep growing and keep pushing it to the newer heights. And then also to, what is that small monthly retainer to just maintain what we're currently doing. Now, every channel is obviously different. If we're in crypto or if we're in business, that can take longer. If we're in MBA or if we're in like an easy viral niche, so for example, like movies and TV shows, there's always a new movie coming out or a new show coming out. So creating content around that's super easy, and it really blows up the channel really quickly. So again, there's a lot of factors and a lot of moving parts in it. But yeah, typically it's all just about what, for me, is going to get you the biggest and fastest ROI in the shortest time possible. Because I know if I do that, clients are going to sing my name from the rooftop and tell everyone about me, and then ultimately send me more clients without me having to obviously put the hard word on, or spend much money on advertising, etc. So it's yeah, it's pretty cool. But again, it's completely done for you. So 5 minutes of a client's time setting up the account where they get paid from, and that's it. The rest is completely done.
Outstanding. Well, I'm sure that we have piqued a few of our listeners' interests out there. So if people want to reach out, just ask you some questions about this, or just follow up about what we talked about today, where's the best place to get in contact with you?
So you can hit me up on Instagram. It's Chris Zissis, so just it's and then my name. It's pretty straightforward, man. Like I'm transparent with everything that I do. I don't believe in hiding anything, or trying to pull the shade over someone. At the end of the day, I'm in business because I want to be in business to help people. I found a need in the market. A lot of people are either overcharging or under-delivering, and I want to be in a position where I can help out. So if anyone's interested, they want to have a chat, just send me a DM. We can jump on a call. I can show you some channels. I can show you some, some of the real numbers that I'm talking about. So it doesn't just sound like some mystical thing that you click a button and you get paid. It is hard. It does take time. But when you stick into anything that is done by someone that knows what they're doing for long enough, you're going to get the results that you ultimately are, looking for. So I welcome all the DMs, all the questions. We can jump on calls, like I said, and I'm completely transparent. I'll show you all the bits and pieces behind the scenes.
Love it, Chris. I appreciate that transparency. I appreciate you being willing to just kind of pull back the cover and go, "Hey, this is what I got. This is what I'm doing. These are the prices, everything." So I love that about you, man. And I expect nothing less with the introduction that Ali Melody gave you. So that's it's what you're talking about. You get a trusted referral, and somebody like Ali refers somebody to me and builds up like she did for you. I'm like, all right, this guy's in my inner circle already. He's good to go. He's
Let's
good to
go.
go. I know a lot of our listeners, when I bring somebody on, talk them up to, like they trust the big bald guy. So that's a good thing. That's something I'm proud of.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
all right, man. Well, I appreciate you coming on. I know that you've obviously got a lot of plates up in the air that you're spinning with all these channels that you're cooking. I really, really am interested in this, and I can't wait to see where you take it, what you do next. But I appreciate you coming on and sharing everything you got with us here today on Podcasting Business School.
Awesome. Thanks, man. Appreciate being here.
All right, everybody, lots to think about. Make sure you reach out to Chris if you have questions about this topic. Hopefully we gave you some interesting things to implement with your own YouTube adventures. And with that, I'm going to send you out into the world wishing you health, happiness, and many downloads. We will see you next time.